Hi, fourth grade. Today I wanted to come and do a lesson with you based on New York State. So part of your, or all of your history and social studies that you do in fourth grade is all based on the history and the regions of New York State, right where we live. So I looked on the computer and I found a map of of New York State, and I broke it into the different regions. And so when we talk about Greater Niagara or Western New York, that's where we live, okay? We're like right in this area. So I broke it into all the main categories of regions. And the reason I wanted to do this is I thought it would be fun to make a connection with our state, and then thinking of different lines and patterns that we could go in and work on. And so I'm going to set this aside, and together we are going to go ahead and draw our own state. So if you want, you can use a pencil first. And I did not use a stencil or a tracer. I just did the general shape of it, right? So having my paper go horizontal, I'm going to start with my name on the bottom. So I will be using a Sharpie. What I would like for you to do, if you want to use a pencil, and then come in with your Sharpie and outline just the shape, the contour of New York State. Okay, so I'm going to start more in the upper corner of the state, and I'm going to fill it all the way in. And if you look, it's almost kind of has that idea of almost like a big boot or a shoe with the bottom. So knowing that our state is very organic, it's not a perfect, boxy shape, lots of the land. Okay, I'm going to come over here, and this is kind of where our region is, and it tilts down. So this would be Lake Erie, this is Lake Ontario, Niagara Falls would be up in here. I'm going to bring it straight across and then come back down here. I went a little big, but I think I can squeeze New York City in there. Okay, so down in this area, this is where I got a little bit. Okay, so this is the Long Island, and then down here would be New York City. So I did cut it off a tiny bit, you can see on this one. But so go ahead, and what I want you to do is try to come up with your state. I'll leave this here for a second. And I'll also in my video, let me see, I'm trying to get in my camera. I'll put a picture so you can freeze it, and then you can look at it for a reference. So when we talk about Western New York, that is our region. And then you have different regions like the Adirondack Mountains are over here, the Thousand Islands. Central New York, if you've ever been to the Finger Lakes, that's like Rochester area, would be over in the Finger Lakes. So we have different regions. And when you learn about, in social studies, about the different regions, and you go back in history, talking about the different landforms and the people groups, it's really amazing the history that we have right here. So I'm not going to break my state up into different like blocks. I did that just so I could show you. I'm instead going to think about what kind of lines, what kind of line patterns could I associate with different regions. So let's just think the Adirondacks, okay? Well, I'm thinking mountains, right? So maybe I'm going to do a repeated pattern where it's going to almost look like mountains. And so I'm going to introduce you to a word called a Zentangle. Zentangle is a word that means, it means relaxing. And the whole concept of Zentangles is when an artist create some doodles, but instead of just being mindless, they're actually being mindful of what they're creating. They're thinking of the repetition and creating different patterns. So here you can see I'm doing a lot of zigzags, thinking about the mountains, and I could keep going and adding different patterns. And so I'm just showing you on this one as my sample. All right, so let's go ahead in here, and I'm going to come up with some different patterns to represent the different regions. Please don't use words. I want you to come in and take your time creating some repetitive patterns, lines, and shapes. right? So I'm going to encourage you, even grab a piece of paper and you can practice a few. That's what I was doing here. So maybe I want to think about, you know, different types of lines like diagonal lines. You could even do scalloped lines. So this is just my practice. So after I do my practice, I can come back over here. I'm gonna do a couple more. So the big thing is going nice and slow. All right, so I'm gonna come back and I'll show you my finished one when I'm done. Okay, so have fun, get your state drawn, and then think about the different regions and lines and designs and patterns and shapes that you can use. Okay, so I just finished. I went in and I added a couple areas, I forgot one, that I wanted to maybe just color in. And I was thinking more of that spiral pattern over in here, think about Niagara Falls with the water falling. I was thinking, you know, things like the Thousand Islands with, you know, a lot of people go boating there. So I did some wavy lines. So I tried coming up with some different line patterns that would match the region. Here around Lake Erie, thinking also wavy lines. I did a racetrack pattern where you just keep going around and around and around and around, more in the central New York. So have some fun with this. And I will put a couple line pattern ideas for that Zentangle for you in this video. So if you want, you could pause it. You can get some ideas and then go in and really have some fun doing this and just find enjoyment in the process. It's not about doing it real quickly. It's about just finding some time and some quiet to just enjoy the process of creating. So have fun and share your pictures when you're done.